Is BlackRock about to create a Bitcoin ETF? The $9 trillion asset manager is now pursuing the ETF avenue for Bitcoin. Welcome back to the Blockhash podcast channel. Let's talk crypto. Make sure to check out our Patreon. We do chart analysis Monday through Friday. Check out our sponsor, PIKA Crypto. They're revolutionizing the intersection between blockchain and gaming. Also, check out our sponsor, BENFT. They're revolutionizing education. Sorry, I blanked on that for a second. Revolutionizing education through AI and Web3. All right, so let's take a look at what's going on here today with BlackRock coming out and supposedly wanting to make a massive impact on the industry by pushing through a Bitcoin ETF. If anyone could do it, it's the $9 trillion asset manager, in my opinion. So this is reportedly getting closer to an actual application filing where BlackRock is supposedly going to file this Bitcoin exchange traded fund ETF in the United States. There's some anonymous sources that are familiar with the matter that have been talking about this, and that the company Coinbase would be used to custody the ETF, showing a lot of confidence in the strength of Coinbase in the US. Now, could BlackRock's ETF filing push Bitcoin higher? That's going to be the real question. So jumping over to the Bitcoin chart right now, we are obviously in a massive consolidation period. We've pulled back tremendously since the middle of April, largely as a result of getting overbought, but even more so because the SEC here, right at the end of May, just, put a damper on hopes that this was going to turn around quickly. So we're in our inflection zone. We hit $25,000 as predicted. We did wick a little bit below that, but we're still in the box. We'll come back to that in a few minutes. More on the ETF. Let's read through this article to give some more context. So this news has caused a bit of a stir in crypto, with many speculating that the Bitcoin spot ETF, not futures, spot, like trading the actual price, from BlackRock could have a bullish impact on the digital assets price. Now, to give a little bit of background, the last time we had a big bull cycle start for Bitcoin in 2020 was when BlackRock, as well as I believe it was Vanguard, announced that they were going to go into Bitcoin. That was them staking their money on the fact that the market had bottomed. This could be very similar, where they believe Bitcoin has finally bottomed, crypto has finally bottomed, and maybe this is the time to introduce a Bitcoin ETF. An ETF, in essence, holds a portfolio of assets that reflects the composition of the underlying asset it is designed to track. In the case of the Bitcoin ETF, the fund would hold Bitcoin and track its price movements, and investors could buy and sell shares in the ETF, which would expose them to Bitcoin without having to purchase or hold the digital asset themselves directly. The potential for a Bitcoin ETF from BlackRock is significant for several reasons. Firstly, it would make investing in Bitcoin easier for institutional investors. Many of these institutional investors really do hesitate in Bitcoin due to the regulatory concerns, the CFTC, SEC, etc., not having clarity on the industry, as well as Congress not having any legislation passed, and a lack of infrastructure for holding and trading the digital asset. You pretty much got Coinbase and Gemini in the US. You don't have a lot of other options because no one feels safe enough to do it, or the other options maybe aren't safe enough to do it. Also, the Bitcoin ETF would provide a more accessible and regulated way for institutional investors to gain exposure to the largest cryptocurrency in the market. Secondly, approving a Bitcoin spot ETF could increase demand for Bitcoin, potentially driving up its price as more investors gain exposure to Bitcoin through the ETF. The demand for the digital asset could increase, leading to a potential boost in its price. I agree. I don't know if it's an end-all, be-all, send Bitcoin to the moon type of scenario, but it would definitely help. Important to note that the Securities and Exchange Commission has rejected every application for a spot Bitcoin ETF in the past. Fuck the SEC. The SEC has only approved Bitcoin futures ETFs for trading. Whether BlackRock's application will pass into the current regulatory environment remains to be seen. But Jesus, if BlackRock can't do it, then the SEC really is fucked up, because BlackRock pretty much controls everything on the fucking planet. So if BlackRock does it, I think the overall possibility is a lot higher than Van Eck, than Gemini, and the Winklevi, trying to push one through. So we're getting closer and closer. I don't know why the SEC wouldn't allow it at this point. They don't even think Bitcoin's a security, so why not, right? So this is just showing the Bitcoin chart. We're going to do our own because I think it's better, honestly. So again, looking at the beginning of the year for 2023, we had a nice rebound in Bitcoin. This really solidified closing that FTX gap. We had some movement, but we had a strong pullback in mid-March. We rebounded immediately, proving that this bull run really is on. All right. And we peaked out at about 30,000, 30,001. And then we've been slowly pulling back in price a little bit. Now, is Bitcoin going to drop and just tank from here? It's very unlikely, guys. I don't think that's the case. We have a strong trend line of higher lows coming in here. Again, March 10th, marked a spot on the price. Here, we're getting close. We could see this happen anywhere between now and maybe the beginning of July, where we hit this line and we continue upwards is my guess. But it is starting to get oversold on the daily chart. That's something to keep in mind as well. It's happening with a lot of other cryptocurrencies, is getting oversold. When you get oversold with Bitcoin, you get a move. We're finally oversold with Bitcoin in the sentiment, so we might get a move. Same thing down here. We got oversold. We got a move. All right, it's almost completely predictable. Back here in June of 2022, got oversold, turned around. Even if it's a short-term turnaround. Now, the difference is, look at June versus where we're at now. In June, we came down hard. We pulled back up. We thought maybe that would be it, and then we tanked. Why? Because of the problems in the fucking industry. Celsius, Voyager, FTX, etc. You know, we came down from, trying to come back mid-August to, early November, just getting pummeled. However, we found support down here, just under $20,000, just about $15,000, and we eventually made it back up. So this uptrend, short uptrend here, is kind of a reflection of the short downtrend here. Whereas we've consolidated, we've pushed lower, the sellers are out, Bitcoin is off exchanges, everyone's hodling. At some point, buyers come in to pick this slack up, and we move to the upside. That is the most likely scenario if we're in a bull market. So do not panic as of right now. Do not panic. We are fine. All right. I like seeing this oversold. I think we're coming in at just the right time. The Bollinger Band is not something that's really something to watch at the moment, but the moving averages are. All right. We got the 200 moving average right here. That is, for all intents and purposes, quite literally, we are sitting on. All right, now the price is at 25,000 flat. We've wicked below it. We've wicked above it, but we're sitting at it right now. We did the same thing here. We shot through it and then popped back up. Think of it like the buoyancy in a pool. If you try to push an inflated ball into the water, it's eventually going to try to pop back up. That's what the 200 is like, especially if you're in a bull market. So this is running out of steam. This is going to stop relatively soon, and we're going to see a massive impulse back to the upside. And that'll be the question. Will that be the real start of this bull cycle? I think so. I think we're getting very, very close. Very, very close with Bitcoin. So the key here with BlackRock is, can they push it through? With the SEC, let them. Can they get the first Bitcoin spot ETF to market in the US? We have futures ETFs for Bitcoin. I'd like to see a spot ETF. So my money is on BlackRock potentially getting it done. I think the odds are much higher. All right, guys, comment your thoughts down below if you think the BlackRock ETF will have much of an impact, if it's important for the industry, if it's important for Bitcoin. Will it put us back on the right track? Will it have zero effect? Who knows? You tell me. Also, like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you have, thank you so much, and I'll talk to you guys tomorrow. Cheers.